Hey friends, welcome to Inside the Taubman Approach. I'm your host, Benjamin Harding. On today's episode, we interview Matthew Camastro. He is an incredible pianist and has studied with Edna Golandsky for a number of years now. He's become a certified teacher in the Taubman Approach through the Golandsky Institute. Wow, you are not going to want to miss 1 second of this interview. It is fascinating. Let's dive in. Matthew Camastro, welcome to Inside the Taubman Approach.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Matthew, how did you come to the Taubman work?
Yeah, that's a good question. My journey, I think most of the people that come to the Taubman work, it really is a journey. It's kind of unconventional. So to give like a summary of my education prior to Taubman, I took 4 years of piano lessons growing up. So I started at 10 in group lessons, which were kind of crazy. My teacher was not the nicest lady. And and then I had 4 private teachers over the next couple of years. And so my final teacher was our church pianist. And she ended up moving to across the country to start a music school. And, I grew up in San Francisco, and so my family didn't have a whole lot of resources. So we couldn't afford lessons after she moved. So I was just kind of on my own after that, just learning music way too hard that I probably shouldn't have been learning, but nobody could tell me no. Yeah, I was taking, Liszt, Paganini etudes and Beethoven sonatas and things that were crazy at the time, but I heard them on YouTube and I just thought they sounded cool, so I should learn them. And I played a lot for church, so that definitely kept me at least in the piano realm.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was playing for church. My the church sent a faculty member from a school in South Carolina to San Francisco to help me and some others be able to play church music. It's very different than classical music.
Sure.
And so I got a connection with him. His name was Ed, who I guess we both know, which is kind of crazy.
Yes, Ed. Oh my goodness, fantastic.
And so I met him over a couple of summers. He would come with his wife to help with him playing. And then I ended up going to college in South Carolina where he taught. But I didn't really see myself with a future in music. So I entered as an engineering major because I wanted to make money, is what I told everybody. And all the musicians out there are going to sympathize. But I was a minor in music, so I took lessons with him. And it wasn't until then I started to actually see the richness and complexity and depth that there is in music. Because before I just thought they were cool sounds and you could play all the notes at the right time and it would be cool. But now it's like, this is a language you're communicating. This is a form that you can express yourself, and then you can help other people learn how to do the same thing. It unlocks like a new thing within you. And so I ended up realizing I would rather, quote unquote, be poor than and do something that I loved than to stay in engineering, which wasn't my favorite thing. So I ended up switching over to piano. And because of Ed, he connected me with the Golandsky Institute. So they did one seminar on the West Coast at UC Berkeley over the summer when I was home. And he said, you should go check these people out. Like, let's go together. It'll be really cool. And I was like, who are these people? What? But I was a good student and I did what my teacher told me. So we went. And I heard all this crazy stuff like, you're going to have to rotate your arm to get over to that note. What are they talking about? But after a couple of days in the sessions, things started to kind of click. And I think it was the first time in my life I had actually experienced and seen something where the technique was tangible. Because understanding of technique prior was, if you can play the piece, you have good technique. That was my conception.
Right.
And I was fairly well off. Like I could play pretty complicated music and I wasn't injured. I would get tired sometimes. And there were points where I feel like I couldn't go any faster, but I wasn't injured. So I didn't really see an issue with my technique. But I did remember I had one masterclass with Edna at the end of the sessions. I played the last two movements of the Waldstein Sonata.
Oh, wow, Matthew.
And I know I took up the whole masterclass time. I don't know why they let me play that. But she did just a few adjustments to my arm and just some suggestions that I could be moving differently. And immediately I went faster and I sounded better and it stuck. Like I could do it every time. And that was a big concern of mine prior to that. I didn't know I had to practice so much because I was worried it wasn't going to come out the same in a performance. And this time I knew exactly what I was doing, at least in a few measures. And every time it would come out the same. And that was just, it took me off my feet. It was crazy. And so I realized there is something to this. And I've never heard this anywhere else. This is the only place I've ever been able to grasp physical concepts at the piano. And so this might be worth pursuing. And so I attended a couple of other things that Edna did. I did she had some lectures in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And so I attended those. I played in some master classes with her. I flew to New York with Ed and had a lesson. So he's a very supportive teacher. He wanted to pass me off.
Amazing person.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, fantastic. So how long have you been studying the work?
I'm going on 7 years now. So I studied with Edna through my master's degree in New York, and then I've just been with her ever since. So after New York, I moved back here and started up the studio, but kept up lessons. So it's been 7 years, and there's still so much to learn. It's amazing.
Yeah. So you're in Greenville, South Carolina. You set up a studio. You're a certified teacher in the Taubman Approach.
Yeah. I got certified 2 years ago. So it was last two Januaries ago. And that really feels like it's been the beginning of the journey. Just when you think you understand everything in the work.
Well said.
And then you try to explain it to somebody else, it's a completely different approach. And the way I perceive information is very different than my students perceive information. And then you're learning yourself as the teacher, how do I explain things in a way that they will understand it? Even if I necessarily wouldn't understand it that way, you have to present the information in a way that they can grasp onto it. And so it's been a great challenge. I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel like there's still I'm at the tip of the iceberg and there's still so much to understand. But it's been a really, really cool experience with the people I've gotten to work with. And you see just such a range of things happening. Like I have one student, he's an organist, and he has a doctorate in organ, and when he came to me, he could barely play it.
Oh my goodness! Describe that. Yeah. What was happening with this gentleman? My goodness!
So he was telling me his teachers had never taught him technique, and what he ended up doing a lot of the times was he would try to get his fingers to be on the same plane rather than letting them be where they should be.
Oh,
he had them on the same time. There's a lot of curling. And then he combined that with, he thought if he relaxed a lot, then that would make all the problems go away. So he would, kind of swing his arms in circles and floppy wrists combined with the curling. And he's trying to stay on the piano, and he was also sitting way too low. Like his elbows were not quite Glenn Gould level, but is below the key surface. And so it was just a combination of things. He had neck problems, his hands were tight, and nothing he practiced could stick. He would lose it in about a week or two. And I think our bodies tend to remember what feels natural and what feels good. And we try to not remember what feels bad. And
Yeah.
most of the things he was doing felt bad. So, but yeah, we've been working together. It's still a work in progress, but he's able to play, which is it's just amazing to see the difference that it makes in his playing. He's able to at least be comfortable, and he can retain things from one week to the next now, instead of just play something, hope that it goes well the second time, and it doesn't. Now it goes pretty good the second time, and okay the third time. So
Yeah.
we're making, but there are some people that they get things right away, and then there's some that just take a little bit longer, and that's okay.
So that's an important note, right? That this is real work. It's not a gimmick. It's not a fix-all situation in the immediate for everyone. This is real scientific work that we're applying, so to speak, to the piano. Tell us a little bit about some other cases that are in your studio.
Yeah, I have. I'm trying to think of the ones that I got recently. I have another student. She started 3 months ago. She went to Juilliard, and graduated with a pretty prestigious teacher 30 years ago. And she was injured in the last year of her study at Juilliard. And she didn't want to stay in music because she could not resolve the injury.
Oh
And
my,
so right out of college, she quit piano and just got a job somewhere else. And you can imagine how devastating that is, like, especially if you go to a very high level institution. Music and piano can really start to become your identity, and then to be able and then to lose that because of an injury is devastating. So
devastating.
she didn't want anything to do with piano. She got office jobs and did other things. And then fast forward 30 years, she was asked by her church in Florida to play organ and piano because they needed some music people. And so she took up playing again. And within a day, everything she had experienced 30 years prior came back, because, I mean, it's the same movements. And so she didn't change anything. And so we've been working together on just getting things to be freed up. It wasn't like anything tremendous that she was doing that was injuring her. It was just a combination of lots of little things, little twists, little bit of tightness, of stretching. She didn't realize that your thumb doesn't have to always be on the keyboard. And so at any given point, her thumb had to be touching the keys, which was causing probably
Oh,
that was probably the most significant problem, was the twisting. And so just making her aware of that. And over the next couple of weeks, we worked. And as of 2 weeks ago, she told me that she practiced for 2 hours, and no issues. And
oh,
so it was amazing to see. I'm kind of in awe. Like, sometimes I feel like I have imposter syndrome, because
oh.
I think, did that actually happen? Like, is that real?
Well, you're such a gracious man and a humble man for sure. But you've certainly done the work yourself to
Mhm.
study with Edna and to be certified within the Golandsky Institute on the Taubman approach. That's
Mm.
quite a process. Now, tell us what kinds of new discoveries you're experiencing in your own playing and studying with Edna, and sort of kind of new discoveries that you're really excited about with the Taubman approach.
Yeah, I would say that at this stage, it's not necessarily like a tremendous, oh my word, this
Yeah,
is
right.
a
Sure.
completely new concept that I've never heard of before. But it's just, I think within the intricacies of when you look at a passage and you realize that there are very, very small extra changes you could be making to the movements, whether it be at what point does the shape start to come down, or what is the overall experience of the in and out, even though there's lots of little in and outs happening. So kind of compartmentalizing the nitty gritty concepts and being able to put them into one big category, if that makes sense. That's been really helpful in my own playing. And we have a 1-year-old now, so practicing.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Yeah, he's crazy. It's such a party. We have so much fun. But our house, yeah, if you could see the rest of my house, I cleaned up just enough for the podcast. So practicing has not been maybe as long as I've had in the past. But one thing that's forced me to do is, in the times that I do have, to be very, very intentional about my time in practicing. And so that, honestly, the biggest breakthrough I have had recently is that it doesn't actually take that much time to learn music as we think. And this isn't really a Taubman thing, but in having limited time, and then when you have the tools of the Taubman approach to be able to take the movements that you know and apply them correctly to the piece. And then when something doesn't go well, you have a whole toolbox of things to be able to troubleshoot and problem solve. You learn stuff really quickly, and you maintain it. Like, one of the big pieces I've been working on is the La Chitarra La Mano variations by Chopin.
Oh, fantastic.
So with Edna, we worked through each of the variations has very nuanced technical issues that we were working with. Whether it's continuing one line while another line is going within the same hand, and how the shape continues. It's an amazing thing. I wish I could play some of it to actually talk about it, but I basically didn't practice it for a month, and because of life, and I had some other things I needed to practice. And I came back, and just for fun, I thought, let me just try playing it. And I played through the entire piece, which is 20 minutes long. And I think I had a few memory slips, but it was up to speed, and everything was still there where you left it. And that had me kind of sitting back in awe, thinking, how did that just happen? Because it's not like, I mean, obviously you put in the work to be able to learn the movements, but then when things come together, Edna always says it's the sum of the parts is always greater than the parts themselves.
Yeah.
And so when you have the whole, you can do stuff like that, and it's incredible. And so, yeah, that was probably my biggest, I can't believe this moment. And lots of little ones throughout practicing. I mean, my last lesson was on the double thirds etude, and I've never been able to play that piece until about a year ago. I started trying, and it didn't go into speed as fast as I thought it would. So I kind of just left it. And then I brought it back when I had a little bit more time, and we talked about it. And I put in the things slowly and just waited for my brain to kind of keep up with or my hand to keep up with what my brain knew to be true. And now it's going fast. So.
Oh, this is fantastic, Matthew. And
Yeah.
so what would your encouragement be to someone who has heard about the Taubman approach, maybe, tangentially, and has heard different things? Oh, it's all about rotation, or it's all about this. And they might have some reticent feelings about jumping into the work. What would you say to someone who had reticent feelings about the approach?
Yeah, so my two thoughts. One, I would recommend trying it. And then nobody's making you take Taubman lessons, but take at least 2, if not a couple, maybe a month of sessions. And it's really something you have to experience. Everyone talks about it like it's wonderful, and it is. but it really doesn't make sense until you actually try it and take
Yeah.
it with a teacher.
Well said.
And the second thing I would say is the proof is in the playing. And if you look at a lot of people before and after studying with Edna or Bob or John or Mary, I mean, I couldn't play the double thirds etude, and now I can, so and there's so many stories like that. I have so many people that I know that are playing music that's so much more difficult than they could even imagine. And I've tackled things I didn't realize I could play, like the Chopin variations, I've played Rachmaninoff etudes, the Mephisto waltz, things that are, in my mind, they used to be so far out of my grasp. And if you had told me at the beginning of my lessons with Edna that I would be playing that, I would have also been like, kind of sounds like snake oil.
Yeah.
And it's not magic. It's not like we're going to wave a wand in the shape of a piano over your head and you're going to be able to play piano. It takes work and it takes time, but it's so worth it. And the other advice I would give too, if people are serious about pursuing the work, is take the time to actually retrain. If you can afford to not play anything and not have any responsibilities with playing, then don't. Because to get the whole package, it really takes time, and it takes the ability of you having nothing on your playing docket to be able to put in the right movements without any of the old ones kind of lurking in the shadows. And so if you could take a couple of lessons and just try some stuff, bring some music that you've been working on that's been hard, and see if the teacher can make it easier, then, I mean, I think that's where the proof is.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And Matthew, being a certified teacher, your contact information, of course, is on the GolandskyInstitute.org website. And students from all over the world, and dear listener, as you're listening to this podcast, be sure to visit our website, GolandskyInstitute.org, and we can match you with a teacher. And who knows, that it might even be Matthew. But where can folks get in touch with you directly, Matthew?
Yeah, if they want to reach out to me, I have a website. It's camastunes.com. So CAMASTUNES.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram. And this was kind of a fun project I did. I documented my stages retraining in the work.
You did? Real. Oh, fantastic. When did that start and all of that?
I started posting when I first started working with Edna. And I figured it would be cool for myself to be able to see this, but then also other people might be wondering what that looks like to be able to work through the learning stages of the approach. So, my handle is Camastunes on Instagram, and you can find all the videos. I also compiled a lot of them and put them in a YouTube video, and it's up on my YouTube as well. So,
we'll include all of this in the show notes for sure.
Great.
Yeah. Wow. And so, yes, dear listener, let's flood Matthew's Instagram and website with requests to study with him. Fantastic. As you build your studio in Greenville. Wow. What an opportunity for folks down in the Greenville area and around the world to study with such an incredible teacher like Matthew. Fantastic. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for joining us today on Inside the Taubman Approach. It's been so fun to talk with you, and I'm sure we're going to have you on again to talk further about all of this wonderful work that you're involved with.
And thanks so much. It's been a privilege.